Welcome back, guys. It's the Esports Weekly. Adanas, joined by Fdot and Hinduman once again, so we can discuss free FP Week. That failed twice in a row now.
Did not fail. Did not fail.
No, it failed.
Things out of my own expectations happened that shouldn't have happened. Elevate took a game which
That's
was
the
not
point of
supposed to
free
happen.
FP Week.
It was free FP Week. I got 7 out of 12 right. Just to be clear, 7 out of 12.
That's 1 over 50%.
It's barely
It's
half.
more than 50%. If you if you go into ranked, you got over a 50% win ratio. That's good. That's good.
He passed high school with a 65.
This week, I don't even know what 65 is.
I don't think
in
we have a
everything.
50% win rate. We lose every time we queue ranked.
Well, I have a Q you. Of course you do, because you're a
I carry.
terrible person.
Let's talk about North America. Sitting at the top, though, still. AFK Gaming undefeated. Following them, Team Solo Mid.
Team Solo Mid off to a good start here, 8-4. Obviously not the uncontested winners that are AFK, but TSM also have gone through a little bit of a roster change. We saw Boosh cycle out of the mid lane, which put Snoopy there, and then the coach Jinx comes in to play the support.
The scariest thing about those standings, though, look at it. Everyone down to 7th position could potentially still be in a top 4 spot. On top of that, this is the final week. But basically, last season, it would have ended this week, right?
Yes. So
technically, all those teams could still have made it to the LAN if we ended it now.
Yeah, not only is it midway for the fall split, but we've actually condensed the same amount of games we had in the summer split down into these 5 weeks. It's a good look, right? If at the end of this all, you could see a big switch up. I mean, that's just how contentious North America is
Really
right
is.
now. Europe, though, a little bit of a different story. Epsilon, though, is sitting undefeated at the top.
Hey.
Following them, though, it's Paradigm and Titan.
Paradigm Titan, they've been up there for a while. Fnatic slipping down a little bit, but after you get past London Conspiracy here, for me, the bottom 3 are just off the cusp. They're not going to make the cut this season, unlike North America, where there's 7 teams in contention. For me, it feels like 5 over in EU.
You know what's interesting here? In North America, I feel like the win-loss ratio, the win-loss records aren't really representative of the teams. It feels very much sort of in the middle of everything. On Europe's side, I think that Epsilon has a bigger divide between them and the rest of the pack than AFK do. But as for the way everybody's laid out, Paradigm, Titan, Fnatic, London Conspiracy, Justice, Dignitas, Meridians, I think that is very representative of this unit's strength. So Europe is a better snapshot at the moment, but both regions really just so tumultuous.
Couple of big games this week. Let's take a quick look at the schedule before we get into discussing the matches. For me, though, there's 2 highlight games. One in North America, C9 versus TSM, and then the big one in Europe, Epsilon versus Titan.
Oh, don't forget Fnatic versus Paradigm as well. That is on the cards as well. You mean you can't miss that one. 2 big EU games for me this week. And as you look through the schedule there, there's plenty to watch every single day.
And that's the thing, right? At the end of this week, every team will have played each other once, and then we'll be starting the second half where they will once again face off against each other, and everyone will have 14 games played. So this is the first look at really where the standings are, and I think this will be a good representative look. Let's talk about...
will be free FP week.
You've said it 3 weeks in a row, and you've been wrong 2 weeks in a row.
Fdot says things wrong all the time, but then he always tweets out about the one thing he gets right.
I only see the correct answers on Twitter.
First match, though, on Thursday, going to be Fnatic versus Justice. For me, Fnatic did drop a game, but this is looking like a 2-0 for them.
I agree. Justice has done a lot of work in and out of the split to really help themselves, and I think they're on an upswing. But it'll take a very large upswing to topple Fnatic. So Fnatic 2-0 here, no problem.
Fnatic for me as well. I mean, to be fair, Justice did take off Titan. They did manage to take a game off them. Can they do this against Fnatic? Well, Fnatic looking a little bit rocky right now, potentially, but I'm still going to go 2-0 Fnatic.
I feel like the North American game is going to be very similar as well. It's Cloud9 currently 3-7. I don't think that truly represents how good this team is. They're the SWC champions from this past season. I'm going to go 2-0 with them. Elevate, they brought in Aduro. I don't think it's going to be enough to beat C9, though.
Aduro's a great player. This team, Elevate, not so much. Cloud9, 2-0.
Elevate learning season for them for the most part. That's what I expect. Cloud9 should take this 2-0.
Moving on to Friday, though, it's going to be London Conspiracy taking on Titan. And for me, right, this is LC once again. I think this is a very important week for them. Like Fdot says a lot, this is Europe's denial, and denial is North America's London Conspiracy, basically. A team that's been sitting in the middle basically every split, and coming down to the final week, in every single split, they've had a chance for LAN, but they haven't been able to find critical wins. I think it's very important for them to try and beat Titan here.
this season as well, they've played very, very well for the most part. Had some decent games against tough opposition. And Millsy, for me, is the captain, is the shot caller for the team. Had a very decent season so far. Last week, what a great performance from him, honestly. In and out of the play the whole time. I believe it was 0-0 and 18 in one of those games last week. Really worked out well for him.
LC is an interesting team. As you said, I always like to call them sort of the European denial. They're a great middle-of-the-pack team. They sort of wane in and wane out. Where their strengths are very different, comparatively speaking, to the other teams. So I think London Conspiracy has a good shot, but by no means do they have this in the bag.
Yeah, for me, this is going to be a 2-0. Titan a little bit too strong. I think they're top 3 EU, clearly. I think they're exactly where they deserve to be right now, and I think London Conspiracy, while they'll be close games, I don't think they're going to be able to manage to take one.
Yeah, like I said, London Conspiracy tends to be up here, up there, and go in different directions. Titan, on the other hand, while they're still definitely one of the top teams in Europe, they have been more susceptible to these lower-end teams, no offense to London Conspiracy, taking games off of them. They show more signs of weakness, or they don't seem as impenetrable as some of the other top teams that we have in the SPL. So I think this one goes split right down the middle.
For me, it's going to be Titan in this one. Obviously, though, London Conspiracy, they do have the opportunity. They generally play up to their opposition and down when they're against teams that they should generally beat. So for me, it's still going to be Titan, though, but it's probably going to be quite close. Maybe a split if Fdot's lucky, but it's free FP week, so it's Titan.
It's free FP week.
Like
every time. It's not going to be free FP week. Next up, though, AFK trying to remain undefeated for the first half of the fall split. They're going to be taking on Eager, who have been pretty contentious. But you brought up a good point, Hindu, in the back. They've been losing a lot of games recently.
Eager took 2 games off Cloud9 last week due to the technicalities of the issues that were there. But previous to that, they've not been on a good run. Other than the start of the season when they played Elevate, the best they've done other than that was going 1-1.
They like won their first 3 matches and then lost their next 5.
Ever since then, they've lost
and then Cloud9 unfortunately had to forfeit, so now they're right now even. But
so Eager
it's been a bad run.
It's not been a great run for them. Maybe, though, the fact that they got 2 free wins is the best way to put it. They got 2 free wins against Cloud9, which has really boosted them, because honestly, if they would have lost those games against Cloud9, their morale probably would have dipped and it would have been a rough season for them. Because of that, and the forfeits, unfortunately, that Cloud9 had to suffer, it's now left Eager in this position now where they've got an opportunity to really make a run at this and still in contention.
Eager, I think, is an interesting team coming into this, and especially with this matchup. Eager is very much a middle-of-the-pack type team. They have their pluses and their minuses, and they're very strong, but they're definitely not the strongest in the region. But going specifically into AFK, I think they have a little bit of insight into this undefeated team because they are scrim partners.
Okay. Are you going split?
I am going
Are
split.
you trying to collect more jerseys? Like, again? This is ridiculous.
No, realistically, like I said, I think that Eager's a good enough team, but really the point that drives this home for me is the fact that Eager and AFK are scrim partners. So they're undefeated right now. AFK is a very strong team, but I think that the secrets that might be there that have helped them win so much, Eager might have a little bit of insight too. So keep in mind that.
Fair point. Hindu Man and I, we both have AFK, I believe.
I've got AFK for that one as well. I mean, to be fair, there's an opportunity for Eager to pull something out of the bag that they've not shown off to AFK, but at the same time, there's something AFK could pull out of the bag that they've not shown Eager.
Does AFK, like, they're undefeated. What more do they have? They've got to be saving stuff for LAN, though. You never know.
Of course.
Ice is something.
Moving on to our Saturday games, we're going to be starting off pretty big. It's going to be Paradigm versus Fnatic. Fnatic has simply been struggling. They've only won 1 set this split. They're currently 5-5, and that was against Myrmidons, who have themselves only won 2 games. Right now, Fnatic, they can't seem to win a set, even against like mediocre teams.
And to be fair, Paradigm at the moment are not a mediocre team at all. Only lost 3 games so far this season. Last week, Triggs Tanks just went off, honestly, in fairness.
This Warrior meta.
Well, this Warrior meta, we were discussing this off air. And when you look at the Warrior meta, last time we saw this was Launch Tournament, I believe. And who won Launch Tournament?
Team Solo Mid.
And who was everybody scared of? Triggs Tank?
Triggs Tank.
I know he's not a warrior right there, but, you know, Capri's Capri. He's like a warrior to an extent, and there's a Bacchus.
Bacchus is kind of a warrior.
We're talking about warriors. We're really looking for the Sun Wukong, because Sun Wukong was where he went off last week. Bluestone Pendant in that solo lane, sorry, the duo lane. Being able to do great rotations like he used to in the old days. No hug anymore, but he's still effective.
Yeah, right. Even you said in the solo lane. Like, that's what it felt like.
He's everywhere.
Triggs Tank had the highest amount of damage. He's got Blink on Sun Wukong, which is something you almost never see, and he's making plays. I mean, he's blinking over walls, diving towers, just because he's that far ahead. Triggs Tank and this Paradigm team, for me, with this Warrior meta, especially with Wukong, like Fnatic have to ban this first of all.
Trickstank's always been an aggressive support, though. That's the big key to him. And if you've been able to pigeonhole him into the support role, it's not worked out as well for him. Remember the Hercules? Got banned out for a long time because people realize his warriors are good.
This. He's saving the Hercules. It's
now,
bad.
Herc will come out, Guan will come out, some Wukong will come out, can switch to the Odin if need be. Still got the Bacchus in backup, and worst case scenario, well, I guess I'll play Geb and Sylvanas.
For me, though, I did give this one to Paradigm, although I do believe all the games are going to be very competitive. I think Paradigm right now, they're so strong, and the fact that Trickstank is basically forcing Warrior bans, it's looking like a 2-0 for me.
This was one of the hardest picks I had all week, and I think if you take a look, we all have different picks. I think that's really tells the story, because I 100% agree with you with everything you guys said about Paradigm being the Warrior meta. This is their meta, but again, I look at Fnatic's performance last week, and when they 2-0'd, they looked fantastic. And even when they traded out 1-1, Captain Twig looked better. And I've been harping on him for weeks. I've been saying
except when he walked into the Amir ult for First Blood. Now, they won that game, but Twig walked into a fully charged Amir ult and died for First
Everybody
Blood.
gets an oopsie daisy.
He just wants to give him some free
that's if I do that at rank, that's an oopsie daisy.
No, what it is wanting to give the team confidence, like they've got a chance to win. They still lost the game, though. 50-50 for me in this one, honestly, because you can't decide between these two teams. Paradigm on an upswing, Fnatic not playing well, but it's just too close to call. I can't give either of these teams a 2-0, so I have to go with Split, and that's why it's going to be free FP week.
Moving from the top to the bottom, Justice versus Meridians. They're going to be up next. Both teams pretty much struggling. Meridians, though, they haven't really even had a full roster all split. I know we talked about this a little bit off air. I gave this one, I believe, a split. Should be pretty competitive, at least.
I don't agree.
Really?
In the slightest.
Wow, okay.
No, the Frenchman's time is done. It's going to be Justice 2-0 for me. I don't see this going any other way than that. Meridians, they've not had, like you said, they've not had a full roster the whole season. Week 1, they switched their jungler. Week 2, they didn't have a full roster. Week 3, they didn't have a full roster. Week 4, did they have a full roster?
Fdot, what is that?
It's a pen.
What is that? No. Look where the pen is pointing to the graphic on the screen. Is that Justice?
That's the split?
No, that's a Justice logo.
You want Justice?
Faith in the French, Fdot.
That's
what's happening. Faith in the French, Fdot.
Yeah,
what?
No. I had faith in the French.
That's a very
We're
good point.
halfway through the season, and basically, Meridians came out of the gate like a bat out of hell. They played very strong. They had a fantastic solo laner doing what they did. Everything seemed to have all their ducks in a row. But here with Justice, I mean, so for upcoming stars now, Justice, Meridians sort of did that, and then week 1 swapped out a jungler. Mogao got to replay his Hades, and he went 0-5-1. Not that impressive. So the secret for Meridian's sort of solo lane, oh my goodness, cornerstone has seemingly been found out, and Justice has been making moves. They've been making moves to sort of change what they have. They have a new coach. They've been doing a lot of work that we've heard about. I haven't really heard anything about that from Meridians. I see it in the play as well. So originally, Meridians was a great team for me to look at. Now, Justice has made the moves. Meridians have just not. They've stagnated, so I give this 2-0
The key with Meridians as well is the Bruise Brothers and Mogao. They were the 3 that we spoke about right at the beginning of the season as being the backbone for the Meridians team. If those all go off at the same time, they win games. We've seen that. If they don't go off, Mogao gets shut down or can't get off, or the Bruise Brothers don't have a full roster in that lane, they have rough times. And that's why Meridians, for me, they're not going to be Justice this week.
Yeah, Meridians have been struggling just finding a roster that can complete a game. So moving on to the big North American game for Saturday, Cloud9 taking on Team Solo Mid. And Cloud9, these are some important games for them this week, right? They faced Elevate earlier, but they're 3-7. Unfortunately, they dropped 4 games that were out of their control. But now they're going to have to do a lot of work to try and get back to a top 4 position.
Cloud9 is a great team in their own right, and I think that coming into this match, not only do they have to win this, they're going to be hungry because if you look at esports.smygame.com, they're not in a good spot. And also not to mention the way they lost last week, probably not sitting well with them too much. So you're going to come in here with C9 like extremely excited and ready to win, but Team Solo Mid are looking very strong. They recently did a role swap, which is normally a negative. And I think that all in all, this team has taken sort of a step back, or at the very least a half a step back from where they were with the Boosh. But you put in Jigs there in the support role, who's very much plug and play with Ionic. They have a very similar play style. They have a very similar...
And the funny thing is when you put Ionic into the Hunter role, as you were saying, what happens is that Hunters, people who've played other roles, you can transition and learn from each other. So he should know what to expect out of Jigs in that support role that we can see here from him. Jigs played very well in the Challenger Cup, ended up being brought on by TSM as well. Now he finds himself on the main roster. Those two in that duo lane could end up combining for something special in the future, just because they should have the same mindset.
Yeah, I feel like his stint with COG also last split, he just really didn't... I mean, he left, what, a couple weeks into it? We never really got to see him to a full split, really see how he could work out. And Jigs, for me, is like... It's very hard to fill Ionic's shoes, but I think Jigs does it perfectly. I mean, he lives with the guy. It's someone he's been working with for a long time as their coach and as just as a really good friend. Jigs is working out well.
And if he's not doing it right, or to the style that TSM want, Ionic's still there to go, yo, this is how we do it. This is how I would have done it in the support role. I can learn from that.
And that's the thing with TSM too, right? Although I do think mechanically they've taken a step back just because people are switching up and it's not the Boosh who was a very dominant Season 1 player. Ionic came on and he's like, the atmosphere is so much better, and sometimes that's key.
Exactly, and sort of a combination of what you guys were saying. Jigs is a new support, or not new support, but new support for the TSM squad. But a lot of times fans at home, and even us, don't get too focused on the individual player. You got to get focused on the duo lane as a whole. And as Hitman said, Jigs is replacing Ionic, who moved over to the Hunter role.
Exactly.
So that dual lane core is still intact, which I think is the most important.
One of the biggest things that happens with team changes is the old player of the team is no longer there, and then you have to learn the role yourself and adapt to the team. This time round, well, it's the Hunter that's moved out to the mid lane, and the support is now moved to Hunter, which means the original support's still there to teach, to the extent that they need to get the
And that's the same with Snoopy, right? I was talking to Ionic yesterday on a stream real quick. He said, Snoopy's been teaching me things. For me, though, this is going to be a 1-for-1. It's a split. I couldn't decide. And at first, I was originally leaning for Cloud9, but the fact that Team Solo Mid performed a lot better than the stats would give against AFK and then really dominated enemy, this team, it's fine. It's fine. It's a top couple team in North America, and I think they're going to trade out.
I agree. Right down the middle, Cloud9 very excited to come in. They'll probably take one. And Team Solo Mid, there's just nothing really negative about them right now. They'll probably take one. These are the two of the best teams in the region going head-to-head, right down the middle.
For me, it's going to be Cloud9. Obviously, for me personally, it's going to be about the passion to actually get themselves back up to the top standing now. It's been a rough couple of weeks for them. I expect them to fly off the bat against TSM. TSM, I'm not, like I just spoke about them, I'm quite feeling they're a great team right now, but for me, Cloud9 is just going to come out and swing the whole day.
Off of that one, COG versus Elevate going to be the final game for Saturday, and Elevate able to find their first win. We talked about it earlier, bringing in a Duro, but they're against COG, a very hungry COG who's 5-7, who's very contentious right now for that 4th place spot.
COG is a great team, and you know I've sort of been waiting for it since week 1. They showed up in week 3, week 4. They performed a little bit as well. I think this is really the same old song and dance. Can COG 2-0 AFK? Probably, realistically not. Can COG 2-0 elevate? I think that's a much more realistic question. And what COG was thought of as week 1 needs to change because the facts have been changed. The facts are out there. COG 2-0s.
Big key is going to be cognitive, just to see exactly how well they're going to perform. Sometimes they can be a little bit lackadaisical, in my opinion, of how they perform against different opposition. Elevate, it's a team that they should expect to beat. Maybe they might make a misstep and give a game or two away. Yeah,
COG right now, I think they're just a little bit too good for Elevate to handle, but there's always the chance of an upset. Opening Sunday, this is honestly the best European game I think we're going to have. Also, probably the highlight game of the week for me, Epsilon taking on Titan. And Epsilon have been so good. You mentioned it, right? It's like AFK is undefeated in North America, but Epsilon is undefeated in Europe by a much larger margin. I mean, games haven't even been competitive.
Now, here's the thing about Epsilon versus Titan, because the last time these two were due to face was last split. Rafa was banned.
You're right. They've never faced.
Banned. These two have never faced each other with a full roster before, and this is a really good inkling to see exactly how Titan are going to end up playing this against Epsilon, because Epsilon, they're going to be hungry, because this was their turning point for last season. And talking about hunger, the guy himself who got banned, Rafa, he's on your screen.
Yeah, Rafa, he's just done so well right now in this split.
he's been off to a tear. I mean, he's come a long way from, so when Rafa originally started with this Epsilon squad, challengers and qualifiers or otherwise, he had directly transitioned from the jungle, and we were seeing Thor, we were seeing Thanatos support, and it wasn't really working. And then, you know, I don't know how excited he was to start playing the support characters, but he's really embraced them. And to be fair, we still see a little Rafa with his Soulstone Sylvanas.
The thing with Rafa as well, though, to be fair, his Guardian support isn't that strong. He knows this himself. He's got like 2 or 3 Guardians that his always go-to. Sylvanas,
but it's
the Gebs. Doesn't really touch Athena or Ymir, and if he does touch Ymir, it's hilarious to watch because he messes up. But he does have that Warriors, and we just talked about Trix tank in the same sort of position. Warrior Meta is one of his strong suits.
So Adanas actually came on to the interview when they won. I believe it was last week. And we asked them about how he felt going into facing off against Epsilon for the first time in the fall split. And he said, we think that we have the best chance out of any team in Europe. These are our scrim partners, so they're playing every day or most days of the week, and they understand Epsilon. They, I guarantee you, have beat Epsilon in numerous scrims, right? I don't know how it's gone overall, but they have a good chance.
One thing about scrim partners is you wouldn't have a scrim partner unless you were going to take games off each other to practice and learn, right?
Sure, that's true.
If you just like stomped a team over and over again, you're not going to want to play them.
Hey, Cloud9 and TSM, back when they were Cog Red and Cog Prime, Cog Prime destroyed them every single scrim for like weeks straight.
Maybe, but then who went on the rampage for a while after that?
Yeah, season 1 was. For me, though, this one is Epsilon 2-0. I believe Titan have a chance, and I believe I'm praying these are competitive games. Like, I don't want Epsilon to 2-0, I'll be honest. I want competitive games down to the wire. I want 40-minute just like bloodbaths. I want to see hype games that really get me in the mood for LAN. I just think Epsilon is going to come out on top of both of them.
I think Epsilon 2-0's here, no problem. Or rather, no. I think it's easy for me to say that Epsilon 2-0's, and it will be difficult for Epsilon to pull it off. Titan, pretty much exactly what Kevin said. These are 2 very, very strong teams. It'll be tough. It'll be 40 minutes, but Epsilon winds up on top.
For me, this one's quite simple. It's basically based off numbers. If you look at Titan, they've dropped games this season. Has Epsilon dropped a game yet? No.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not going to lie.
It's not.
Free FP week?
Free FP week.
Go
with the stats.
Next up, it's going to be London Conspiracy taking on Team Dignitas. London Conspiracy, we've talked about it already, once again, trying to find some important wins. They want to get over that hump. They don't want to be in the middle. They want to really secure that 4th place spot that's in huge contention with Fnatic right now.
It is, but what did I just say earlier about London Conspiracy? They seem to play up against tougher opposition and play down against opposition that they should technically beat. Dignitas should be one of those teams that beat based off Dignitas' current record and performance. Sure. For me right now, though, Dignitas did take games off Fnatic as well, so I'm not counting them out in this one either.
For me, like Fnatic, or not Fnatic, Dignitas, they're just so hit and miss, right? They can have these great games, but I don't think they can do it consistently. And I think even if they have a great game, I think London Conspiracy is going to be really competitive, if not take that game over them. For me, it's a 2-0.
I'm with Kevin, and again, it's about consistency. Dignitas have taken a game off of Fnatic, but they haven't done it consistently in any sort of consistent fashion. And even in that game against Fnatic, the play here and there was inconsistent from their players. We saw great kills, followed up by dives that weren't really advisable. So I think for this one, the London Conspiracy winds up on top. Dignitas needs to work out in the consistency department.
For me, it's going to be a split because of consistency once again, because London Conspiracy have a consistent tendency to, up against weaker opposition, not play as strong as they should. So they're going to drop a game. 50-50, free FP.
So they're consistently inconsistent.
Consistently inconsistent, that's correct. Oh my God. Due to lack of consistency.
Kevin, move us on.
Free FP.
AFK versus Denial. I'm going to make this one short. AFK remains undefeated 2-0. Like, that's the Denial, they have a chance. I just think AFK right now are too good in North America. And Denial, if there's going to be an upset on AFK, it's not going to come from Denial.
I agree. I think that Denial is the definition of a middle-of-pack team. They are not the worst team in the league, and they are not the best team in the league, and they can win games versus virtually anybody. I think that they can win games against AFK. I don't think this is the week. I don't think they're the one to take the game off of AFK.
For me, it's going to be AFK as well. Just performance is the way it's going to be. Denial, like you said, he's very, very possible they could take a game off them. Will they, though? I'm going to go with the full AFK for safety.
Yeah.
Final game, though, for Week 5, our halfway point of the fall split. It's going to be Cloud9, or excuse me, not Cloud9, Eager taking on Enemy.
This is a big game.
This is a very important game. These are two teams, middle of the road for Eager. Enemy currently sitting at 3rd, but it's not. They do not have like a running start. They're like barely hanging on to 3rd. There's 4 teams clawing at their back.
This is the Sunday night reality check. This is the Sunday night reality check. Enemy versus Team Eager here. Enemy is a team that a lot of people, myself included, have said have overperformed, that their win-loss record shows them as better. And Eager, up until this point, have largely been on the bottom side of that, where they're a better team than their win-loss record really shows. Well, this one is where the cards are shown on the table and everybody sees what's up. Either Enemy, because I think that both of these teams are talented. Either Enemy comes out and they go ahead and they win and say, hey, we're the real deal, or Eager wins and they say, hey, we're the real deal. This is the reality check.
So who are you going with?
I have Eager here. I do think that Eager is the real deal.
So you already have an Enemy jersey?
Enemy. No, I don't have
jersey?
I have Enemy Bacchus, and that's all I need.
Enemy, if you're listening, Fdot wants a jersey. He's collecting them. Actually, no, he didn't vote for their team, so he's good.
I mean, the way with this, how this is going to go for me, it could go either way. I've gone for the split for the simple reason that both these teams, Enemy's on an upswing, we've said. Eager's been on a downswing. Eager's got a lot to prove. They need to get wins here. They need to get wins. And Enemy, there's a chance they're going to find a stumbling block in Eager. And the easiest way to go for this for me is going to be 50-50. I don't think Eager can take them both in fairness just because of the way Enemy's been playing. Maybe I'll be wrong, but it is free FP week.
So if I'm sitting here and I say that Sunday night is the reality check night, that whoever wins this one is the one that's the real deal and the other isn't, what happens if they split?
If they split, they're going to go all the way to the end of the season. We'll get the last game of the season or something where both teams need a win to championship.
I hope the second half of the fall split is just as competitive.
Yeah,
I want to see like 3-4 teams battling for that 4th seed, maybe even 3rd right now.
Here's my prediction. Before we get down to the final 2 weeks, I think EU will be pretty much settled for 3rd. 4th will be still contested a little bit. NA, though, I think we'll be down to 6 teams instead of 7. We're at 7 now. I think we'll lose 1.
We'll lose one. One of them will drop off, yeah.
No show which one, but one will drop.
That. But as always, guys, make sure to check out alphadraft.com if you are looking to win money with Smite Esports. And if you're looking at some of the players you want to invest in, well, it's pretty much Epsilon and then AFK. That's just these two teams. I mean, they're undefeated. They're winning points every single week.
Yeah, it's the undefeated that really tells the story. Again, Smite is a team game, so it's really hard to boil it down to the individual. And obviously here, you're going to see the individuals whose teams are performing. But
I don't know. I don't know, man. You say it's hard to lock down the individuals. I and many have been preaching that Adapting and Cyclone Spin are in contention for best player in the world.
I won't disagree with that. As you go down the line, it's a little more inconsistent. I will say, though,
you said Epsilon and then AFK, and that's exactly what will happen at Worlds.
Every single member of AFK is in the top 10. So
calling it now.
Is it gonna? If we never see Epsilon versus AFK, I'm gonna be mad.
Oh no,
I will actually be mad.
That'd be like Cloud9 versus Fnatic again when I never get to see Reels versus Barra. We still haven't really seen that because Barra was sick last time.
Update though, guys, we do have some spoils coming through. We're gonna be showing them here on your screen shortly.
Spoils?
Spoils. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Oh, it's Zeus. It's the new Zeus.
Is that a new Zeus?
I see a Kurt.
It's a new ability next patch. I believe this is a video, or is this just a screenshot? So he has a new ability in this next patch.
That looks like Medusa on his shield. Is that Medusa?
So does Medusa become a part of Zeus?
Medusa's part of Zeus?
Does he get Medusa? Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Well, he looks like he's reaching to the sun.
Well, so it's actually really interesting. So Zeus will be getting a new ability in the next patch. We're going to be able to see sort of a blend of the old Zeus that you know and love and a little bit of reimagination so that we see what's going on and sort of a new interesting direction as to where this character is going, but at the same time, staying true to its roots.
I heard good things about his ultimate. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. So.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for us here on the Esports Weekly. Make sure to look out next patch for the new Zeus. A little bit of a rework, so we'll see what's going on with that. Maybe the Medusa shield.
That screenshot just gave so much away.
I know. I'm lost. I'm lost already. Quick update, though, guys. After this, we are going to be having So You Think You Can Cast with Hinduman and DM Brandon. And a quick reminder, we have the COG Invitational not this weekend, but the weekend after that one. It's going to be the COG Invitational. 6 of the top teams from North America are going to be facing off. And you can actually go there in person to the AFK Gamer Lounge and just like with your friends and try and win money and compete with the pros. Yeah. So that's going to be it for us, guys. Have a good day.